Today on Wedding Worthy, we're stepping behind the lens with Jaimee Morse, a luxury wedding photographer whose signature style is where Vogue editorial meets classic European soirée. With over 14 years of experience capturing weddings around the world, from Arizona to New England and beyond, Jaimee has mastered the art of creating images that are editorial yet timeless, creative yet refined. Her clients include celebrities, professional athletes, and stylish couples who want their wedding to feel as elegant as it looks. In this episode, Jaimee shares her approach to capturing love stories and gives us a look at some of the unforgettable weddings she's brought to life through her lens.
Hi, I'm Jaimee Morse. I'm a luxury wedding photographer based in Arizona and New England, and I've photographed for about 15 years and shot over 800 different events. And today I'm going to show you guys a couple of my favorites.
You're watching Wedding Worthy, where we believe every couple has a story.
So one of my favorite weddings is Alexa and Mike. They had their wedding at the Omni, which is in Scottsdale, Arizona. They had an outdoor ceremony and then they had an indoor reception. It was so beautiful and they were such a lovely couple. So one thing that I really loved about this couple was they actually enjoyed their wedding weekend. So their first day that they had a welcome party for all of their guests. They did like a country themed where they had a mechanical bull and they had like all these different country themed games for their guests to play. And then they had some dancing afterwards, and they just weren't stressed about their wedding day and they actually really got to enjoy it. I have photos of them on the mechanical bull just having fun. And then that also went into the wedding day where they just really enjoyed themselves. I never saw the bride getting overwhelmed about little details or how something, might not be going together perfectly. She just really was in the moment and just having the time of her life. And one thing that they did that was just so beautiful was in the reception space, in the ballroom, they did a full ceiling of floral. So when everyone was out there on the dance floor, they were just covered in florals and it was gorgeous. I have a favorite shot from this wedding. I have a lot actually, but one of the ones that is my favorite. So I will shoot drone throughout the day. And one spot that we did a drone shot was them walking down their aisle. They had this gorgeous white aisle and then it was lined with flowers. And it's just like so perfect. And then right after taking that photo, I did another photo of them in the same ceremony space. But this time I was capturing more of their shadows, and it just for some reason reminded me of like Cinderella. And it just felt like the perfect wedding moment. So those are a couple of my favorites. Also inside in the reception area, their first dance was so beautiful. Again, with the florals just being all above them. And then another one of my favorite pictures is actually a decor picture, and it's of their after party. So their wedding day, for the most part, was just like whites and really light pinks. But then their after party was like neon and bright and crazy and like club vibes. And so it was like really weird, like squiggles and stuff like that. So it was really, really fun and just like a different look from the rest of the wedding day. One reason why couples hire me is because they believe that I can execute exactly what they want and they don't have to micromanage me. So I usually only have 2 meetings with my couples. I'll have the initial meeting where they'll tell me everything about what their dream is and what they're really excited for. And then we'll have a meeting about a month-ish before the wedding day. And I will ask them a million questions so that I don't have to ask them any questions on the wedding day. And so that we can have this seamless wedding day where I'm documenting exactly what I know what they want documented. We're not spending too much time in portraits if that's not what they want. I'm also really good at reading a room And if I can tell that the groom is done with photos, then we are done with photos. And I will just make as much as I can out of the few minutes that I have to do portraits with them. And then for the rest of the time, I really just am trying to get a lot of shots of them enjoying their wedding day. One thing that I always tell my clients is it's your wedding day. It's not a photo shoot. I really want you to get these amazing, great photos from them, but that shouldn't mean that we're like pausing you every second and micromanaging every move that your body makes. But that you should be able to just fully enjoy your wedding day and get great photos from it as well. My next favorite wedding was Burkell and Greg, and their wedding was at Grand Bellis, and that's in Cabo. And it was just such a party. They had their ceremony right on the beach, but it was so classy and not like what you would think of a beach wedding, like sandals and stuff like that. They had a full platform where they had their ceremony, and then after at the reception, it was on the rooftop and it overlooked the ocean. It was just, oh, it was lovely. The couple was so sweet, and they were just willing to do whatever I asked of them. If I was like, hey, let's walk out onto the rocks, are you guys cool with that? They're like, yeah, sure, let's do that. Even though the bride was in heels and the groom is in these like custom loafers. They were just willing to do whatever. And also because it was a destination wedding, I think that they were just a lot more ready to have a party, and so weren't all of their guests. And so that was really fun to watch all of their guests and them have this vacation together that also was a wedding. The bride's father had passed away, and one thing that they did to honor him was they left a seat open at the ceremony. They had a little decal on it that said seat for father of the bride, just so that we all knew that he was there, not in person, but in spirit. One of my favorite shots from this wedding was at their ceremony was just of them up at the front. The sun was setting. It was gorgeous lighting. They had these beautiful white roses and white flowers around them. And it was such a beautiful moment. And then another one of my favorite photos from the wedding day is them actually going into their after party. They came in, all of their guests had gone from the reception into the after party, and then they came in, a couple minutes later, and Burkell was actually on Greg's shoulders. And then he took, I believe, a champagne bottle and shook it up and sprayed it everywhere. And so it was just like a really fun party atmosphere for their after party. So one thing that I really loved about their wedding day was the ceremony was all white. The flowers were white. The structure itself that they walked down on was white. That was beautiful, and it was classic and crisp, and it didn't take away from the ocean. It really added to the whole beach oceanside wedding. And then at their cocktail hour, they kind of flipped it a little bit. They did this cute little pink kissing booth, and then they had a lot of pink and red accents throughout their cocktail hour. So it was almost kind of like a completely different vibe while also fitting in with it. And then we went up to their reception, which was on the rooftop, and that was all white and black, and that was gorgeous. And so it was very visually appealing all day. So one thing that I did that was really helpful for this couple is we did an engagement session. At that time, they were living in Iowa, I believe. He was playing baseball. And so I flew out to them. I got to meet them. I got to see how they react in front of the camera, where they feel comfortable, how they feel comfortable, if they feel comfortable kissing, if they don't feel comfortable kissing, if they'd rather do more movement than stand still. And so that was really helpful when we were coming to the wedding day and the wedding weekend, to know exactly how they felt the most comfortable, and so that I never put them into these awkward situations where they just felt, awkward. And so it was really nice to be able to see them in multiple different settings too. So the last couple was for Mildred and Andrew, and theirs was actually on a private estate. It was on their family's home property in Cape Cod. What I really loved about this couple is they did exactly what they wanted to do. They had these little details throughout the day. that just showed how much family meant to them, from it being on their family's property to them using her dad's boat to get to the ceremony. She actually wore her mom's wedding dress for the ceremony. She had it like altered and wore that. And then after the ceremony, she changed into this gorgeous hydrangea Oscar de la Renta dress, which is, if you looked at it, you wouldn't think bridal. And that's what I loved about it. I love that she was like, no, this is what I want to do. And this is what I want to wear. And then also for their welcome party, they had like this almost like Italian theme. And then just one thing, I guess the groom really loves the Grateful Dead. So they had a band come in that does like a bunch of Grateful Dead covers. And so they just really did it exactly how they wanted to, and not what like norms or wedding norms or whatever say that you should. And I think it ended up being perfect for them. One of my favorite shots that I have of the wedding day is actually of the bride's sister helping her get into her mom's wedding dress. And then in the background, you see the bridesmaids peeking through the door, watching her get into her dress. It was just so sweet to see so much family. A lot of the bridesmaids actually were family too. They were cousins and stuff like that. And so it was just really sweet to see again how much family meant to them. So one thing that made this wedding unique was out back of the house, they built this massive structure. It was this black tent structure. And when you walked into it, it honestly felt like you were walking into a living room. There were couches for seating. There was custom built bars that looked like you had just gone to someone's house and you were pulling up to a bar and having a drink, you know, in their kitchen or whatever. It just felt so much like home. There were hydrangeas everywhere because in Cape Cod, they're a religion essentially. And it felt so much like home. You didn't feel out of place. It didn't feel weird. It just felt so good. One thing I noticed from this couple, I really didn't have too much interaction with them before their wedding day. But just even from that first couple of minutes of meeting them, I noticed that they don't really actually love doing portraits, and they don't really love spending a million moments, you know, them touching noses and snuggling in together and doing all that type of stuff. But they enjoy each other's company. And so one of my favorite photos that I think expresses their relationship is we were taking these portraits and then they started to walk away, and he said something funny to her or something like that, and she's holding up her dress and she just looks over at him and gives him the sweetest smile that is just like, you can tell that they have this sweet relationship. And I thought, they're not touching each other. They're, like I said, she's holding her dress, he's just walking beside her, and you can tell how much they love each other in that photo without them, you know, holding each other or being super romantic or anything like that. And so that really was interesting throughout the day, because we didn't do a ton of portraits with the two of them, because I think that that just wasn't what they were super interested in. So that's something unique that I really enjoyed about this couple, that they just were completely fine with being themselves. So what I think makes wedding photography so special is it's a day that you get to have all of your favorite people under one roof. And that really is not going to happen too many times in your lifetime. And so having someone there to document the big moments, the first kiss, the introducing you as a couple for the first time, but then also the tiny moments, the moments of the flower girl falling asleep on the couch, or, you know, the mom helping you zip up your dress. The little moments that no one thinks of, no one will put on a shot list. But as an artist, you see those things happening and you know when those things are about to happen. So I think that's what makes wedding photography special. It's also a one-time deal. You can't do it again. It's not a portrait session. You can't do a round two or a take two. And so you have to always be on your game. You have to always be looking around, seeing what's happening, seeing what's about to happen. So it can be a long day, but it's a really, really beautiful day. One thing that people always say to me, they're always like, I don't know how you do it. It must be so stressful. And I'm like, I get to go to a party every weekend where people are happy, people look beautiful, everything looks beautiful. And everyone's just having the best time of their life. So it's actually like the best job in the world. It's been great talking to you today, Wedding Worthy. I hope you enjoyed a little glimpse into these weddings.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to Wedding Worthy for more.